over here. All right, it says we're live, so I'm just going to go into the Facebook group. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing well. I'm wearing my chef's jacket because we're talking about food for boosting collagen. So
Oh
I
my
figured.
gosh, so cute. I have a chef's hat. I should have worn that.
Come on, Denise.
No, we need to coordinate our costumes. Give me a second, and let me see if we're in the skincare group. How was your weekend? Did you have a good weekend?
It was great. I was down in Florida again.
Fun.
Pretty cool. I'm there so often. I should
And Mother's Day is coming up. Any plans for Mother's Day?
My kids are excited to just kind of like do things around the house. So typically we plant our garden on Mother's
Oh,
Day weekend.
oh,
And we do it all
that's
together. So we go and we pick out which vegetables and fruits and herbs and stuff we want to grow, and then we tear up the garden and plant it all. It's a good time of year to do it up here in New York. So
I love that. And you can plant superfoods, which we're going to talk about today, right? So everyone, it looks like we're good live on Facebook and streaming through here as well. So everyone meet Lindsay O'Neill, our superfoods expert today. She's going to tell us all about the superfoods that boost collagen and keep us all looking young and healthy. And so drop your questions in the comments. If you have any, we'll definitely go through them. Say hi, let us know where you're from, and we'll get started. Lindsay, take it away.
well, I'm Lindsay O'Neill. Thank you so much for that introduction. And thank you again for including me. The last time I had so much fun with you, Denise, and so much fun talking about water, which typically wouldn't be like the most fun thing that we would talk about. But there's so much information, and it can be really overwhelming when it comes to the cross section of what you're fueling your body with and how you look and your radiance and your inside out beauty in your skin. And there's so many great things that we can do that are easy, but also delicious. So today, what we're going to talk about are more small hinge changes, things that we can do. So my practice is called smallhinges.health. You can go to the website. And the philosophy is that small hinges swing the big door of change. A lot of people, what they do is they feel like they really only have two options in life when it comes to their health. And your physical beauty is a reflection of your internal physical health. Now, those two options are either do something really drastic, right? So like for your inside health, you might start a really complex diet or sign up with a personal trainer or even get some sort of like surgical operation. For your physical health, that can also be the case, right? There's lots of plastic surgery and things that we can do in order to hone in on our beauty, our physical beauty. But there's also some really small things that we can do. And so you don't necessarily have to either make that choice of like doing nothing or doing something really crazy. You can do some things that are in the middle that are not just easy to action on, but can also have a really positive impact. So I have 10 top collagen boosting foods that I'd love to talk about today. And those foods, and that's why I'm wearing my chef's jacket, because I figured, I'm a culinary medicine chef. I got a certification from the Harvard School of Public Health and the Culinary Institute of America. And culinary medicine is kind of like a new fangled way of talking about medicine, but it is what it says it is. It's food as medicine. And when it comes to our inside out beauty and our inside out health, our face, our skin is really that door. It's a big door both ways. So what we eat and what we fuel our body with shows up on kind of like the screen of our skin. And the same thing goes for anything we put on our body gets absorbed into our bloodstream within 30 seconds. So we have to be
and creams and moisturizers, all that goes in like to our body. Wow. Okay.
in 30 seconds, 30 seconds.
Wow.
So it's really important to be mindful on both sides of those. Obviously, people know the saying, you are what you eat,
Right.
but you also are what you put on your skin. And we all know that vitamin C, vitamin D, really important for our skin. But what really boosts collagen? Does anybody have any?
That's a good, I mean, I wouldn't really know. I mean, I would imagine, no, I wouldn't even know where to start. I know a bunch of like superfoods that are supposed to be great, like with antioxidants and all that kind of good stuff, but particularly collagen boosting. Um, yeah, no, that's why we're here today. I don't actually know any like specifically for that.
So there's a couple of different vitamins and nutrients that are collagen boosting enzymes. So not just your vitamin A and E and vitamin C, like you would typically know, right? Like a lot of skincare actually contains those elements.
Yes.
They
Yeah.
contain vitamin A, vitamin E, and vitamin C. I
And
use
those are all collagen boosting
yes.
as well. Okay. Hmm.
So those are things that you put on your skin that boost collagen on dermally, like
Right.
on the surface layer of your skin. Now, you can also eat those vitamins, and that will, from the inside out, help you produce more collagen. But there's a bunch of other things too. And you may have already heard, like you just mentioned, Denise, antioxidants. Antioxidants are basically like cell scrubbing enzymes, and they really help us to heal at a subdermal layer a lot
Okay.
of our cells, right? It also helps to heal our gut, which we talked about last time. So I'll say this again because I thought this was a really interesting tidbit that our gut lining is the thickness of about one piece of human hair,
Hmm.
and it's really susceptible to damage. Now, when you're thinking about collagen, and especially around superfoods that could help you boost collagen, if you're not actually absorbing the nutrients, then it doesn't actually matter what you eat, right? So you want to make sure that you're keeping your gut healthy no matter what you're eating. And whatever I'm telling you today in terms of like the top 10 foods that I have, um, that I found will help to increase production of collagen and also help prevent damage of collagen too. So both
Ooh,
sides of those.
okay. Yeah.
You also want to make sure that you're not like, all right, well, I ate this food for 30 days in a row, Lindsay, and it's just not helping me because you're also drinking soda and you're also eating fried foods and you're
Right.
also eating a lot of sugar. So gut health is by far top of the list. Most important, always will be, always has been. Now, getting into like the nutrients, we talked about vitamin A, vitamin E, and vitamin C.
Okay.
Other things that we need are copper, zinc, and those antioxidants, and sulfur. Sulfur is a real interesting one and something that I've been researching for many years when it comes to culinary medicine and food as medicine, because there are sulfur rich foods that help to prevent the breakdown of collagen, help to prevent the breakdown of healthy cells. And
Wait a
so
minute, real quick. So you've come to Florida a lot, and I know you've probably been to the beach, and like you get kind of that sulfury smell sometimes at some beaches. If we were to use that sand potentially on our skin, would we absorb it in? I mean, I'm just thinking about it because.
well, it's funny that you're talking about sand and the sea because marine collagen, as you know very well, is one of the most important forms of collagen
Okay.
because it's harder to break down.
Okay.
Um, there's seaweed in the sea. I just swam in the ocean yesterday, and I came out with a whole head full
Yes.
of seaweed, and I was like, "Ooh, marine collagen, cool." It would be great to,
Right here.
but no, I wouldn't recommend like rubbing your face in the sand.
Aw.
If you smell some sort of fishy or funky or sulfury, sulfury stuff. Um, but there are certain elements. So like, let's jump into the actual foods. Now, I will get to fish because there's a certain caveat when it comes to marine collagen.
Okay.
But the first thing you'll probably find if you were to go just like on Google and type in, you know, top collagen boosting foods, you would typically always see red meat, eggs, and chicken. But they're not all red meat and not all eggs and chicken are created equal. So there's really great B vitamins. Um, there's great vitamin A and E and antioxidants. There's zinc in red meat. There's omegas, omega 3. There's so many essential vitamins and nutrients in those three proteins. But they can be amplified if you go towards grass-fed beef or free-range hens. So I'll give you a couple of statistics because it's really actually super interesting. So it's really important to have grass-fed beef because they can be 3 to 7 times higher in vitamin A and E and antioxidants, as well as zinc and B vitamins as compared to grain-fed beef. So you're getting much more of the vitamins in a smaller amount. And, you know, when we're thinking about like our overall health, we don't want to eat tons of meat in
Right.
general. We don't want to overdo anything. So,
Right.
especially if we're trying to get a nutritional benefit that's also going to help us look good, usually moderation is the best practice.
Yeah.
So if you're practicing moderation in eating and you really want to have a nice steak, look for a grass-fed, grass-finished steak because that will have higher levels of those vitamins and the antioxidants to support it, as well as zinc.
And do you have any insight into why? I mean, kind of obviously they're eating, nature, they're eating grass, they're eating healthier food than grain, less processed food. But is there anything more to it than just that?
That's pretty much it. Also, typically the grains that the animals are fed do have other nutrient categories,
Okay.
but they also have nutrient like deficiencies
Right,
as
because it's
well,
processed.
and
Yeah.
and can limit the natural production of all of those amazing healthy qualities and vitamins that we would get from grass-fed beef.
Okay.
Okay, so then thinking about chickens, the chicken or the egg, which comes first. So free range eggs contain a third less cholesterol. So it's like 33% less cholesterol than a regular egg.
Wow.
Now, cholesterol can actually cause a breaking down of collagen, especially around your eyes. So you can see sometimes, like if I meet someone and I don't really know anything about their health, if I see that they have um, little like fat deposits under their eyes, it's
Yeah.
it's typically from high cholesterol.
Really? Oh, I
Yes.
want to like see my eyes now.
Not always, but sometimes. Um,
Okay.
it also has a quarter less saturated fat in a free range egg. And then it has 2 to 3 times more of those vitamins. So 2 to 3 times more vitamin A, which is really high in eggs, 2 to 3 times more omega 3s, which are essential for cell health, and 3 times more vitamin E. But it
Wow.
also has 7 times more beta carotene. Now, beta carotene is another vitamin that is essential for muscle development and muscle health.
Well,
And
real quick on the egg, sorry.
yeah,
Somebody asked, those are free range eggs, correct?
yes.
And then so this is my question. What about like organic versus like just regular egg? Like is organic and free range the same? Is it like what as far as categories go, which would you recommend
The
purchasing?
the $8 category versus the $3 category.
Right.
Um, so I always recommend that like know thy farmer. And it doesn't really matter where you live, because I grew up in New York City, and there were farm stands every week all over New York. And so if you feel like you know the farmer, you know what type of conditions they're raising their animals in, that's the best place to buy it from. Now, not all of us have the time nor the desire to know the farmer.
Right.
And so, yes, I would typically look for that organic, certified organic, free range eggs. You're just going to pay a lot more than
Right.
if you knew the farmer, because then organic becomes a little less important.
Right.
The certification process for organic is, like, it is what you make of it.
Okay. Okay. Oh gosh. Yeah, we just recently started getting fresh eggs from a friend who just kind of has them in the backyard and like they overproduce. She's like, "You want some?" I'm like, "Yes, I do." And you can even see it in the egg. Like the yolk is like almost an orange color. I was like, "Is this egg okay?" Like it was so interesting the difference. But yes, free range. Some just to clarify, free range, organic. Those eggs are just better in general than any that you buy that are regular kind of
Exactly.
eggs. That the hens are they're happier hens. I call them happy hens. Like they're happier running around and all that.
Yeah, I mean, the reason I say know thy farmer is because there's so many labels that you can kind of just like put on our food, that can be misleading. And so it's always really important to be to be really open-minded, and also try to discover what the truth is in our food, because it can be kind of like people either like believe everything that they are told, or they believe nothing that they're told. So
Right.
like
Right.
it's really just, something in the middle is usually the way that I go.
Okay.
Um, Now with beta carotene, what that also does in a free range egg is it helps to boost vitamin A, because vitamin A is an essential nutrient and an anti-inflammatory antioxidant that helps protect cells from damage. And it's also not just for collagen boosting, but it can really also help with the age of your skin too.
Okay.
So if
Now,
you look up beta carotene, I mean, everybody's always like, oh, carrots, carrots, carrots,
That's
carrots,
yeah. That's what I was gonna say. Sweet potatoes also, right?
potatoes. Neither one of those are on my list though. So
Oh, I really like those.
I do too. Okay, so now we're kind of like clear on chicken and eggs, free range, less cholesterol, less saturated fat, which does start to break down the collagen. So the more saturated fat you have in your foods, the higher cholesterol. It starts to break down the collagen in your skin, and it has 2 to 3 times more vitamin A, omegas, vitamin E, and beta carotene.
Okay.
All elevated in grass-fed, grass-finished, free-range chicken and eggs. All right, cool. Now, some people might be saying, like, Lindsay, stop talking about meat. I'm vegan, or so what else can I eat? And I had a friend who just went on vacation to Hawaii, and he reminded me of my honeymoon when I went there, and I would just eat like off the trees. And tropical fruits like kiwi, guava, dragon fruit, pineapple, mango that are so delicious, they're really high in vitamin C, like even higher than grapefruit and lemons and limes and all of
Really?
that.
Crazy because
Yes.
I love mangoes and we actually have a mango tree. I live in Florida. So our neighbor has a mango tree that just kind of goes over our yard and I'm just like shaking it every now and then. See if someone will drop it in. It is so delicious. That's so good to hear.
Yes. And it's an easy, small hinge change to switch from citrus fruits exclusively, or like apples and peaches, if you're looking to boost collagen and even like take care of your immune system. kiwis, guava, dragon fruit, which is also called pitaya, really
Oh,
high pitaya.
oh, okay, nice.
So
I've
you'll,
seen that name before, and I was like, "What is that?"
yeah, if
Great.
you go in the freezer section, look up pitaya. It makes really great smoothies too. Like dragon fruit bowls are just so pretty, right? They're like this bright pink color.
Mm-hmm,
They're
mm-hmm.
really good for your skin too. And pineapple and mango, all really give you the essential vitamin C that you need in order to boost that collagen.
Okay.
And they're delicious. And one thing I will do after I tell you about all of these foods is I'm going to give you some recipe recommendations on how to use them.
Yeah.
All
You
right.
need to like cook some of the recipes for us next time.
Exactly. Just come over
I
anytime you
know. Yeah. Well, when you're in Florida, we need to actually like potentially meet and do this like face to face.
That would be awesome. That would be awesome. So another thing that I actually just had in Florida, and I have pretty much all summer long, are oysters.
Okay.
You would never think of oysters. So oysters are known as kind of like the lover's food,
Right. Aphrodisiacs. Mm-hmm.
right? A little bit of an aphrodisiac. Some people hate them. Some people, like myself and my friend Christy and a bunch of my other
I
friends,
don't like them
love
either.
love oysters. My mom and I were eating oysters, and then she actually takes the oyster shell and she makes beautiful jewelry out of it, which is so cool.
Yeah.
Um, but oysters are really high in copper.
Oh, okay.
The copper, people don't know that they need copper. And sometimes with functional medicine doctors, they'll do a blood test to test all of your essential mineral levels.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you are deficient in copper, it not only can create a breakdown of collagen and dryness in your skin, but it can also start to cause like adrenal fatigue and other things. So you want to make sure that like you're getting not just your vitamins, but also your minerals. And oysters are a great way to do that. Easy.
Oh, I was just reading here that somebody's asking if oysters are really good for your health. Yeah, she's describing copper. I was going to ask, are other mussels in that category as well, like potentially clams or I don't know what else.
They,
I don't
they,
really like mussels in general, but my husband and my daughter do.
I love all seafood and shellfish. And I will tell you that there are some really, I mean, because it's coming from the sea.
Right.
So you're getting magnesium, you're getting copper, you're getting a whole host of essential minerals when you're eating shellfish. But you also have to be careful with mussels and clams and some others because there are higher levels of bacteria.
Mm-hmm.
Oysters tend to have less bacteria and more of the essential minerals. So,
Okay.
again, it's like always a trade off. But I mean, I eat all of it. You just don't want to eat it like every single day. And
Right.
and these are kind of like fun foods to incorporate into your diet, not to say like only eat these foods and your skin will be amazing.
Right. Right.
That's not what we're saying.
Although, like
Yeah,
eggs, chicken, I can do those all day, every day. So,
same, same. Okay, so then the next one is interesting because there are some websites that say that this is that nightshades in general are not great for your health because they can actually spark inflammation instead of helping to soothe it. But tomatoes are a nightshade that contain a pretty significant amount of vitamin C because they're a fruit essentially. They're not a vegetable. And they also can contain lycopene, which is a pretty powerful antioxidant when it comes to stimulating collagen production. So tomatoes, I mean, we're going into the summer season, especially up here in the Northeast, and Jersey tomatoes, Hamptons tomatoes. I could just eat
all
them
the
like
tomatoes.
apples
Yeah.
all
I know.
day.
Like a caprese salad is like my favorite. I
Mhm.
can't. So good.
So good. And other things that are spring specific, which are another vitamin C, like an enhanced vitamin C fruit, are berries. So strawberries, blueberries, all summer long, blackberries, really high in vitamin C, even more so sometimes than citrus fruits. But if you're combining like all of it, right? If you do a smoothie, let's say, with all the tropical fruits and some berries, and you put a little lime juice and some coconut water in there, like
It's all the vitamin C. I remember reading that about strawberries recently because my son is obsessed with strawberries. Like I buy a pack and it'll be gone like
mm,
that day. If I don't watch him, like they're gone. And I was like,
that's
I
really
hope strawberries. Yeah, I'm like, I hope strawberries are really good. And then I read that they have higher vitamin C than even an orange. I was like, okay, great, go for it. Let's eat
they
those.
do, and they also have more fiber. So there's
Oh,
not
okay.
a whole lot of fiber in oranges, but there's a lot of fiber in strawberries and in other berries. And fiber is kind of like, do you remember the scrubbing bubble commercials?
Yes.
Like those things
That's
go around and
gross. Yep.
they scrub the bathroom, and then there's all this like gunk that's cleaned off.
Hmm.
That's essentially what fiber does, but in our gut. It kind of
Okay.
like goes in our gut and just scrubs all of the gunk out of our gut so that we can have a healthy, clean gut. So
I
we need
do follow, I know, I do follow a guy on TikTok that is like obsessed with talking about fiber and how fiber has been removed from a lot of our foods, like our processed foods and all that. Like it's not even, it's like a second thought, it's not even in there. And I was like, wow, like something that's so healthy and comes with so many foods naturally, like you're describing, like it's just being removed when like you do some of that processing, and it's crazy. I was like, oh my gosh.
It is crazy because if you think about like the protein craze, we know we need protein. We need protein for fuel in our body. We need it for fuel in our brain. If you're a pregnant woman, you need higher levels of protein. If you are actively exercising and you're burning off a lot of fuel, you need protein. But we've become totally protein crazy, and we've completely forgotten about fiber. It's like protein, protein, protein all day. But when you have a healthy, balanced diet, you need both. And I think there was some statistic like 5/6 of us in the United States are fiber deficient.
Wow, that's, but I mean, it's not that shocking actually when I think about it, because if you look into it, like I mentioned, all our foods, none of our foods contain it unless it's like a whole food or something that you have grown that's fresh that you're not processing. Like everything has it removed. Like, so my husband is Cuban and they love rice and beans, and I'm like, beans for fiber. But then I recently found out that rice comes like in fiber, like encapsulated in fiber. The rice that we get now, like just the grain, is nothing. Like it has really just a lot of carbs in it.
Yeah.
But wild rice and all that has fiber with it. I was like, okay, well, like why don't they just leave it in like that the way it's supposed to be? But that was very interesting.
Because then it wouldn't last as long on the shelf,
Yeah.
probably.
Yeah.
But yeah, we strip out a lot of nutrition in our foods, and these are some easy ways to, like, you have a mango tree that's available to you. You have chicken eggs that are available to you. Like, I'm going to come and move in with you, Denise, because you apparently have access to all of these great collagen boosting foods.
Yeah. Well, we live in a small town, so we know, there's a lot of little farmer, but I like even, at farmers markets, you can get to know the person that's selling the food there. Like, and farmers markets are a huge thing these days. So
Yeah,
it's easy. I mean, I feel like it's easier than you think it is. Like, that's
it
just,
is. You just have to kind of get outside of the normal way of thinking about things. And if you really focus on what you want for your life and for your health, and why you want that, then the how can actually become more of like a journey and a discovery. It can be fun. You
right.
don't have
It
to
doesn't
like
have to be like you mentioned everything all at once. Like you
totally.
can start by changing your eggs, or you can start by changing, getting organic strawberries, or you can start by just changing one food and see how it starts affecting your health. Like I love that, the small steps that you can take towards it.
Absolutely. I mean, and people do think that I'm a little bit nuts when it comes to telling them like all of these different things that I've learned. But I don't eat healthy 100% of the time.
Right.
Um, but anyway, so yeah, speaking of nuts, so one of the nuts that actually I found that help to produce collagen are cashews. So cashews are pretty high in copper. They're delicious. You can soak them and put them in a smoothie. You can chop them up and put them over a salad. You can encrust some fish in cashews, or you can just eat them as a snack. Like they're a really great foundation for amino acids, which are basically like blocks of protein. Like they're the building blocks of protein that make up the structure of collagen.
Oh my gosh. That's so great to hear because those are one of the least expensive nuts.
And everybody says, "Oh, they're so fatty, they're so fatty, they're so fatty," but it's not a saturated fat. It's a healthy fat, and it's a healthy protein. So when you're eating foods that are rich in copper and zinc, as well as, like we said, vitamin C, vitamin A, and vitamin E, those help to produce those amino acids, which are the building blocks of the collagen protein, basically.
Mhm.
So
That's fantastic to hear because cashews are actually my favorite. Cashews and walnuts, maybe, or pecans. One of those two are my favorites. I did want to ask. There was a question in here. Um, do you have like any recommendations? Maybe you can answer this towards the end once you've given all the foods for someone on a keto diet.
mm. Well, I mean, the first three things we talked about.
I think she popped in a little bit later, but
Yeah,
yeah.
keto diet. And I have to look. I think oysters are considered keto
Oh,
also.
I think so.
And that's a good question because we're about to talk about marine collagen because we talked about that at the very beginning. And we'll talk about it again now because obviously fish and meat and eggs all part of the keto diet, right? It's typically keto diet is very low carbs,
Yes.
or if not no carbs. And with fish, you do get some marine collagen in a lot of fish, but
Nice.
really where the majority of the collagen is in the skin. So
Oh.
if you think about like salmon, for example, a
Mhm.
lot of fine dining restaurants will cook the salmon to perfection, put it over a nice bed of something, and then put the crispy skin on top. And French chefs and trained culinary practitioners, they love to have crispy fish skin. But it's not just delicious and it's not just adding an extra element of crispiness and flavor. It's also giving you more access to marine collagen.
So this is not from foods, but I actually recently learned about like that there were like three different types of collagen. Can you touch a little bit on each of them and what? Because I know there some of those are found in red meats, correct? And then I don't know what type two was, but can you talk a little bit to each type?
Yes. So there's a lot of different types of collagen, but the three primary main that are found in food. So collagen that's uh, found in meat and animal products can typically be found like in the skin and the bones. So like bone broth. That's another thing. So like everybody loves bone broth, right? Make sure it's grass-fed bone broth because then you're really amping up all of the collagen. Then there's collagen that's found in the skin of fish, marine collagen, but it's also found in like seaweed and other vitamins and nutrients in the sea.
Okay.
Um, and then the other collagen, so then there's the vegan collagen, which you've probably like. I actually drink a vegan collagen, and that's really more of a vitamin based. That's the vitamins A. Dark leafy greens typically have a lot of antioxidant properties.
Right.
So there's the collagen peptides. Um, so the beef based, the fish based, which is marine, and then the vegan collagen. Those are the three that you can really find in food.
Hmm.
There's arguments to be made on all three sides. But what I've given you here today is a way to get all three in a
Right,
diet.
right. Someone's
So,
asking a question about collagen peptide powder.
mm,
She says, is 10 grams too much to take daily? She worries about gaining weight. Can you gain weight from taking collagen, too much
I
collagen?
mean,
Supplement?
there's so many collagen peptide powders out there. It's hard to say like yes or no to any of that. Like I think too much of anything is typically too much, but you also really need to read the
Right,
ingredients.
label, right. Oh, and the packaging should give like a good, like it'll give a standard amount that you should be taking. What ingredients would you suggest looking at for?
Whenever I'm looking at prepackaged food, whether it's a protein powder or a peptide, you know, a collagen or um, any sort of supplement, I I look at where it originates from first.
Mhm, mhm.
Um, because if it's a synthetic anything, I don't put it in my body.
Okay.
Because then it's just a toxin, and then it's going to start to affect my gut microbiome. And as we talked about last time and talking about this time, it's the most important thing when you are thinking about culinary medicine and your overall health, your inside out health
Yes.
is your gut. Um, so so I would look for anything that you can't pronounce as a as maybe a red flag of an ingredient. If there's something that you can't pronounce and you don't know what it is, just type it into Google and see what it is and where it comes from. Because um, the three collagens that we just discussed, they're all derivative from food and
Right.
from nature. But there are definitely collagens that can be manufactured in a lab.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for that.
Yeah, you want to stay away from those. So we talked about nuts, we talked about fish, and marine collagen. The last one that I have in my top 10 is garlic. Now, garlic is very high in sulfur, which we talked about in the beginning.
Okay.
Sulfur helps to prevent collagen breakdown. So while we're eating a lot of other things that are helping to stimulate collagen production, we
Mhm.
also want to have that protective quality. And sulfur is not just great for preventing collagen breakdown, it's also really great for preventing cellular damage, which is what leads to chronic inflammatory diseases like cancers and diabetes, um, heart disease, stroke. But it also is really great for your cognition and help. It crosses that blood brain barrier also because it stimulates the oxygenation of the cells. So it's like I could
Wow.
go really crazy scientific, but it helps to stimulate ATP, which is what our mitochondria needs and all that stuff. But garlic, I mean, you can pretty much cook with garlic all the
Everything.
time.
Yeah.
And I say cook with it because if you a lot of people go crazy and they just like start popping garlic in their raw garlic in their mouth, and it's actually not the best way to digest garlic. So cooking with garlic
Okay.
is a great way to boost collagen production and just to help prevent that collagen breakdown.
Okay, that's excellent news because again, my husband is Cuban and they put garlic on everything, garlic on the pork, garlic on the plantains, garlic on the beans, garlic on everything. So we love garlic at our house. And it's funny too because I've seen like garlic pills like in the, in supplement areas. And I'm like, what does garlic do? And I'd heard about it, being anti-inflammatory and all that, but I'm like, just eat the garlic. It's more delicious that way.
It is, and
Yeah.
cook with it. And to that point, let me give you a couple of recommendations of things like using these foods and what you can make. So it sounds like I need to come hang out with you, and we just need to cook and enjoy all of the foods that we all like to eat. But having like more of a Spanish background, that using like a pan seared salmon with the skin on,
Yeah.
with pineapple mango chutney, some sort of like fruity chutney on top of it, with
Mm.
like a garlic lime rice. I mean, that's like collagen. That's got collagen written all over it, right? You could add some cilantro. You could add some black beans. Sounds delicious.
Yeah, I love it. Well, so I live now in a different area of Florida, but I used to live in Miami. And you come down to this area, Miami is so full of the Caribbean and Latin flavors and so good. They use garlic and everything, and oh, I love
Mhm.
it. It's delicious.
And when I had oysters this past weekend, they were at a French restaurant. They had so many amazing like sauces and mignonettes that you could put on the oysters. And I was thinking to myself, what if you made like a tomato, garlic, lemon mignonette or something like that
Mhm.
on top of oysters, which already produce collagen?
It's like a super food.
Exactly. So I might have to try that out, and I'll share the recipe with you guys. Uh,
Absolutely.
and then obviously, like I love grilling in the summertime and grilling anything from chicken to steak to bronzino with the skin on, right? And a lot
Ooh,
of times, what I'll do with like a bronzino is I'll grill lemons first, and then I'll stuff them inside the cavity of the bronzino, and then I'll grill the bronzino.
that sounds good.
It is good. And then you can also do like sauteed spinach and tomatoes and garlic on the side with a really nice light bronzino with the skin on. That would be good. And then if you did like
I haven't had
obviously
lunch yet. You're making me starved.
yeah, lunchtime,
My
lunchtime
belly's
now.
bothering me. Yeah. Go on. Go on.
But I do love the dark leafy greens aspect of collagen production, and as I was mentioning, a lot of the vegan collagens are plant based, so they have a lot of those dark greens in them. So with a grass fed steak, because they're leaner, they're not as marbled. I would do like a spinach chimichurri with a lot of garlic, right? And I'd
Mm.
probably do like a poached free range chicken egg on top. And you could do like a side salad with like dark leafy greens and blackberries and fennel cashews. You could put the cashews into a salad, and just amp up like the collagen boosting.
You could literally make meals just all day, every day around all these foods and just in different ways and just
Yep,
combine them to be, collagen boosting all day, every day. Like,
you could. I mean, you could start your day with a smoothie with soaked cashews, organic berries. You could do frozen pitaya, which is dragon fruit, pineapple, coconut water. You could throw a handful of spinach in there. Like you could literally have a like a dozen things per day that you would choose from. And
right.
each day with the changing of the seasons, you'd have access to so many new things.
Oh my gosh. And it's again, I love that we have these conversations because it's so accessible. And people, when you first hear about it, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to change my whole diet. Where do I even find those things? And having conversations like this, it's like, oh my gosh, I already eat most of those things anyway. It's
Right.
just being mindful about maybe adding more in or choosing what you like and cooking around that. Like it's it's accessible. It's there. We just don't know it. And spreading that information and knowledge is just so great. I love it. I love talking with you. I always learn something new.
And honestly, I loved watching Dr. Carter last week because,
Yeah.
he's a friend of mine too, and he's so knowledgeable from the medical perspective, and he was able to transform his life and his health. And it's the same with me. I grew up in New York City. I've always been small. I pretty much ate whatever I wanted to. And when I was pregnant with my third baby, I was hit by a car and I was put on bed rest.
Oh my gosh.
And it triggered chronic inflammatory disease in my body. And so even though I looked okay from the outside, I was a hot mess inside because I didn't really, it set me on a road, like down a path that I wasn't prepared to travel because I didn't have this information. Oh, hey, girl.
Sorry.
And so I would say I think that taking it one step at a time and making these transformations in your diet and your lifestyle for your inside out wellness can be fun. Like I love being an explorer in my own life. I love being an explorer in my in the towns around me, or even in New York City. Like what types of foods can I find? And if you keep it clean, you follow the 80-20 rule, like 20% of the time, have the ice cream.
Right. Treat
You
yourself.
know, treat yourself, because life is also short, and you shouldn't spend the whole entirety of it trying to be perfect, because nobody is. So yeah, I love making little small hinge suggestions because they can still be delicious and fun to explore too.
Absolutely. I 100% agree. And yeah, it's just exactly speaking with Dr. Ross, last week as well. It's just incredible that how much difference you can make on your own with, what you know about your body and what you know about what you're intaking into your body and all that kind of stuff. It's incredible to just know about it. And just knowing is the first step. So, like funny enough that after I did talk with Dr. Ross, I had been thinking, in the past that I wanted to do like a full blood panel. And I was like, what is the point even of getting it with your GP? So I started looking it up and around here, and I have it scheduled now to go get one of the, like a full comprehensive blood panel. And then speaking with you, like when I go to the grocery stores, I'm like, I'm gonna get the organic ones. Lindsay would suggest these, it's just interesting the way your mindset shifts and you make those changes. And I love it. I love that for us. I love that for our group. I wish everyone would join and be able to listen to these.
Yeah. And honestly, if you have any additional questions, like people who are just joining, or if you're watching this back and you're like, I really wish you would talk more about, like, maybe you are going to get blood work done and you find that you're deficient in copper. What does that mean? And how can you deliciously boost your copper so that you not just have a healthier body, but you're radiating from the inside out?
Absolutely. Actually, and I was wondering if you have some of those recipes that you talked about that were so delicious, in like PDF or something. I can drop them in the group, or you can drop them in the group later, and people can check those out, because that would be delicious. I think
There's a recipes on the Love and Yum blog on smallhinges.health. So
awesome.
I believe the Bronzino recipe is on there. I definitely have a lot of like grass-fed beef and lamb recipes on there. And anything that we talked about, and there's some smoothie recipes on there too. Anything that we talked about that that you want to know more, just reach out. info@smallhinges.health. I'm happy to send more recipes. I'm going to try that tomato, garlic, lemon mignonette on oysters. And then that one I'll share if it's good.
You're going to need to blog about it.
Definitely.
Well, thank you so much, Lindsay. This was amazing. I always love chatting with you. I just learned so much. And yes, just like she said, if you have any comments, feel free to follow up with her. Lindsay is in our group. You can add her and she'll see the comment, or reach out to me, whatever you feel like doing. info@smallhinges.com. Let me put it in there.
info@smallhinges.health.
Oh, health. Same hinges. Health. That's right. Because when I did .com the other day, it was something else. It was not
business who I haven't been able to get in touch with yet to buy.
Okay. All righty. So next week we will have another chat with Dr. Ross Carter. We'll be talking about more medical ways that you can kind of take charge of your health and your skin and just look youthful and beautiful from the inside out. And Lindsay will meet with you in another couple of weeks to chat about, you told me what it was about, but I forgot. I'm sorry.
What is 2 weeks? Sorry, I just inhaled tea down the wrong pipe. Oh, five skin inflammation triggers that nobody talks about, like choking on your tea. No, I'm just kidding.
No, please don't.
But yes, there's so many ways to cause an inflammatory reaction in your body. And these are 5 things that impact not only your health, but also your skin
Okay.
health. So
I'm excited for it. Can't
we're going to
wait.
talk about that. Yeah. So start to think about what do you think that is, because they were not what I expected. I'm going to tell you.
Yeah, I mean, nothing comes when I think inflammation. All I think of, like, when you get a cut or something, like it turns red or it gets bumpy or you're bloated. I mean, that's the only kind of inflammation that I can think of. So I imagine you're going to illuminate us on all the
Let's
things.
hope.
Yeah, I'm sure you will. No, I'm sure you will. Well, Lindsay, thank you so much. And thank you all for joining us in the comments. It was so great chatting with you. Um, we'll see you guys again next week, and I'll see you all in the group. Excited for it. All right. Thanks so much, Lindsay.
You have a beautiful rest of the day.
You too. Take care.
Bye.